The Vera Thomas Show. The Vera Thomas Show. The Vera Thomas Show. The Vera Thomas Show. Let's talk about it. 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 On the Vera Thomas Show. Let's talk about it.
Hello, hello, hello. I am excited about my guest tonight. I have with me Maria Sherlock. How are you today?
I'm well, Miss Vera. Thank you for having me on.
Well, I am honored that you're here, and I'm going to take a few minutes and share with our audience a little bit about you, and then you're going to share even more. So, Maria Snyder Sherlock was raised on Long Island in the state of New York. In 2005, she had an encounter that has forever changed her life. That was when she met Jesus during her first failing marriage. In 2010, she relocated to the state of Florida, where she currently resides, and at that point began serving in the ministry in many different areas, such as Sunday school, worship team, prison ministry, and delivery ministry. She also held numerous roles in women's conferences with leadership positions and speaking engagements throughout Tampa Bay. The trade she practices for the past 25 years is a hairstylist and has been driven by her love of people and a desire to be used to help others feel and look better. A born encourager with a dynamic personality, her life began to change after she was involved in a motor vehicle accident in 2015. In 2020, her second marriage was near the end. It was COVID, and she experienced a brutal sexual assault that put her in a state of trauma. At that point, years of childhood trauma, church hurt, mistaken beliefs, and years of abuse had her questioning every area of her life except her faith. She is a life coach, an international speaker, and she is in the process of writing a book to tell of some of what her experiences look like in depth. She also practices what has helped her move forward with a hope to inspire others to keep the faith and preserve under pressure. So I am going to give you the floor and share with us some of those experiences starting from childhood on up that led you to your purpose and your passion. And we're talking about pain has a purpose. So rediscovering from dysfunctional life.
So, Miss Vera, in this day and age and in this generation, I can clearly recognize how a lot of us have been taught principles of not discussing the things that we have experienced and not, bringing them to light or telling people about some of these things that may have kept us in shame. And what I have learned is what we don't heal, we're either going to pass to our children or we're going to have to deal with them at some point in time. And that is exactly what I had experienced. We had shared about my encounter with the Lord in 2005, and there was this transformation that began to start in me. But much of the dysfunction and the abuse and the trauma that I had experienced through my childhood was not discussed. It was kind of packaged up really pretty, try and put a bow on it, and just continue to do life. And I became a mom at 19, and my purpose began to, be busy about those things that, moms need to do. And I was a wife. And when COVID had hit, and I had experienced multiple levels of trauma and anxiety in the world that was you couldn't get away from. It was quite odd to be driving in your car next to somebody that was by themselves with gloves and a mask on. And it was like I didn't know if I was going to go outside, and the air was going to like eat up our skin. So just the added anxiety, and then the series of traumatic events, it was kind of like my right now at that moment trauma collided with the childhood trauma, and it was very messy for me. And previous to that, I had really started to work on myself and some of the habits that I had developed, through coming from an abusive home, and the codependency and not having boundaries, and being a people pleaser by nature, and busy about the church work and busy about your children, and just it was like burnout. And I was like a can of Coke, just with the top on, shooken up, and just waiting for the pop. And it was kind of interesting. I felt like I was not of my own anymore. And
Now, when were you feeling that?
This started in 2020. And like I said, there was the trauma from my childhood, unhealed sexual abuse that I had gone through, as a youngster, the physical abuse, the rejection and the abandonment of not growing up in a home with my father. And, just, trying, I'm a very highly sensitive person, in through, we are people of faith, but we need to incorporate, medical and science and all kinds of things to be well-rounded and to educate ourselves. And I would be considered an empath. So I realized that my high sensitivity to other people's emotions and that people-pleasing nature naturally would just have me doing things that were better for everybody else and not myself in the end. And a lot of manipulation over the years, and even with my own little children, like they could convince mommy, I love, we all want to make our children happy. I mean, even simple things, but through this painful process that I have had to endure, and the determination that the Lord has just given me, I am not a person to accept things as they are when we have a future ahead of us. And I really began to educate myself and, speak to doctors and trauma specialists and pastors and, others that had been recovering from similar abuse that I had experienced. And I realized that by, talking about some of these things, most of these things in safe environments, and, I began to heal. And I started to gain this courage. Like, this didn't just happen to me to hold this in. This didn't, I didn't survive by the grace of God to not encourage somebody else, because if I've come through this, so could somebody else. And I've really, been so passionate about helping other people recognize that they don't have to stay stuck there. And but faith without works is dead. And it took
Absolutely.
a lot of
Exactly.
discipline and consistency. And I'm starting to see how and why all of these things are have been allowed to I've been able to be carried through for a greater
So,
purpose than just for
a-
me to hold on to.
absolutely. So let me ask you, what were some of the steps that you took in addition to your faith? Because you said you had gone to doctors and counselors and psychologists and all of those things to get on the right track. So, for our audience, what were some of the things that you did for someone who may be an adult? Because when you consider 64% of adults who have unresolved issues, those issues stem from childhood. So, what did you do? And can you give us some tips of things that an individual can do in addition to our faith that helped you overcome some of the traumas that you experienced? And that's one question. And I also want to talk about, what impact did you have on your children prior to making the change yourself?
So those are really good questions, and I'm excited to give you those answers. Um, the the first thing that I had to do was get really real with myself, and begin to recognize my own patterns of communication or lack thereof, and just the cycles of dysfunction or the generational cycles that have been affecting my family line for years, and pretty much draw a line in the sand and say, no more, no more. My dad was a raging alcoholic when I grew up, and seeing that kind of behavior has really put a ill taste in my mouth, or a desire for alcohol, because I just did not want to behave in such a way. And
That's
so,
beautiful.
that was, one of the things that I recognized, early on, that could possibly have a hold on me. The second question you asked me was, how did my actions or my way of living affect my children previously to, recognizing and really trying to break these cycles? I would say my behaviors and my just codependent skills had definitely been passed to my children. They are very passive, and do not know how to express their desires or needs. And when I started to see these things, because basically whatever somebody wanted, or somebody that I thought that I loved or loved me or I trusted, whatever it was to make them happy, and those things have been passed to my children. And I work really hard to now live the work and what I have recognized, and again, in a gentle and loving way, kind of nudge these teenage girls that I have, to just at least be able to know who you are, make simple decision. What do you want to eat? It's whatever you want. Like, no, let's make a choice. Let's start with something simple. Again, always age appropriate, but just so that we can instinctively know who we are. Because I didn't have that. I knew who everybody wanted me to be. And
Yes.
Everybody had a different version of me. But
Yes.
God was the original creator, so I'm going to have to go with him.
I know that's right. I know that's right. So let me ask you, in terms of, because I know you've had two marriages, and in those two marriages, were there some signs that you saw or didn't recognize because of your own personal experiences? And would you say that those marriages were impacted, or you were impacted, as those marriages caused you? Well, wait, let me back up how I want to say this. As a result of how your experiences were, would you say that your choices in marriage and relationships had a lot to do with things that you may have gone through, or did you see a pattern with those two relationships?
Yes, definitely. I can look back now and say I didn't even know what a red flag was, and now I look for red flags, green flags, pink flags. I have always I have always had the love, I guess, for somebody that has felt unloved in their own way. And I was just going to love them better than anybody else. And I was going to, you know, wife them better than anybody else. And I was going to be cuter, and all of these exhausting and unrealistic methods that were completely false, a mistaken belief of,
Yeah.
what a good partner or spouse would look for. Work ethics, and just overall discipline in everyday habits. And I ignored all of those things. And I have a weakness, which is why I am very good at helping to coach others into being the best version of them, except for when they're your spouse. I see the best in people. And sometimes I can see the potential in somebody that they don't even believe that they're capable to achieve. And so I guess I've always taken on a project in
And
so many ways. And it's given me the time to not deal with my own stuff if I just continue to try to focus on somebody else's inventory. And by the grace of God, and through lots of, dark places, I was face to face with me. And I feel very honored that the Lord would choose to walk me through some of the things that I have had to experience, and the betrayal, and the just the abuse, and that I can look back at and say, ha, now we can use this. Now, his word says he's going to give us beauty for ashes.
yes.
And felt like I have been in the fire and cranked up numerous times in the past couple of years, and even through my childhood. The things that I have experienced are very out of the ordinary, but then again, you'll find people that it's not. I mean, my dad, like I said, was a physical abuser. And, I've seen my mom thrown down flights of stairs,
Oh,
when he was drinking. That is not something that children should have
no.
to. I mean, and even for me, with all those high levels of combative vocals around me, if somebody would raise a voice to me, it's like I kind of check out for a while. Like I don't hear what somebody's saying. It's like, so, again, these were coping skills or survival methods that I have, adapted to some of these things. And they're not healthy and they're not
Right.
normal, but I'm not the first and I'm not the last. And, if there's other people out there that have, and again, cycling from two marriages at my age, I feel I got some experience now.
Yes,
it,
exactly.
but I've got experience and I'm not, of course, my heart's desire is to have a partner one day, but I will not settle. I'm observing like
Yes.
for quite some time, and it's going
Let's
to take a lot.
Yes. And what I would like for us to do, let's talk about some of the red flags that people need to be aware of when dealing in relationships. So, what are some of the red flags that you've experienced or that you've come to become aware of to tell you this is not it. This is not going to work. So let's share some of those red flags and let's try to help other people be aware of things that they need to look at to avoid being abused verbally, mentally, emotionally, spiritually.
So, like I said, like with my dad, we don't want to repeat the same cycles. And I made a choice
Yes.
to, not partake or, not overindulge. I mean, in my lifetime, I have, drank alcohol, but I always knew in the back of my mind, this isn't good. But observing somebody's, patterns, even just when you're dating, if you're going out to have a meal and they're pounding down drinks, like in the middle of the week, and it's every date that you go on, that might be a problem, and I'm sensitive to those things. So, I look for things like that. I mean, for me, in my first marriage, I would say work ethics was completely ignored. My love language has been quality time. And so somebody that's calling off of work all the time and hanging out with me is a lot of fun, but guess what? It doesn't pay the bills or support a family in the long run. So, again, I felt like, oh, he loves me. He wants to be with me. He wants to spend this time with me. And, moving forward and then having children, that brought a lot of added stress on the relationship, more than what most people would have to endure if they were paying attention to that.
Yes.
So,
So with work ethic, is is the person's wanting to spend more time with you than going to work? That's a red flag.
yeah. And you even had mentioned, spiritual abuse. And that is absolutely something that I can say I didn't see coming the second time around. And it is real, especially for women that are in a church. And, when I began to read the word and take my Christianity and walk it out, I take everything very seriously. And so when the word tells me, submit to your husband, and then you have leadership telling you to submit to your husband, and things are not being led in a direction that are godly, it can be really muddy and manipulated. And so, it again, it comes back to working out my own salvation with fear and trembling, and, having a personal relationship with the Lord. And I think, it was through some of those struggles, even, within the church, and the different things, that the Holy Spirit really started to manifest its fullness in me, and, give me that personal, I got you, girl. You are mine. And have that backbone, and, stand up, but do it in love, and, again, respectfully. And my intentions are never to be hurtful, but a lot of times people are stuck in their own dysfunction, and they want to put a lid on top of you,
Yes,
and they
yes.
don't want to see you grow. They don't want to be held accountable for their areas of weakness. They are very content. And that's just not, that wasn't going to cut it for me anymore. Can't,
Yeah.
I can't.
Well, let me ask you
So,
this, because I know scripture does say the wives submit to your husbands. But if you have an ungodly mate that's trying to steer you away from your faith, how do you deal with that?
well, and I didn't feel that I had married somebody that was unequally yoked to me. That wasn't the case, and it wasn't for many years. There was open doors that had a lot to do with the car accident you spoke of in 2015, and personal struggles that one may have been battling for a long time, but had a very good run. And so I'm recognizing somebody for who they were when we met, and then things changed, because now these doors have been open, and holy hell is breaking loose. And
When you
again,
say when you say these doors have been opened, expound. What do you mean?
well, through, addiction or substance abuse, and, and then just different avenues of, greed and control, and, just a lot of, women, we struggle with control and manipulation, and men struggle with pride and their ego and control. So, I mean, it's what we are created with, but, as Christians, we should be able to work through some of these things, with proper leadership, and, our brothers and sisters or professionals. And but people, you gotta wanna, and sometimes people just don't want to recognize or repent. And, it creates a lot of disconnect, and then the levels and extent that is taken um, to hide that sin nature can really be more destructive than the things that happened in the first place.
Right. So let me ask you, what would you say to, now we talked about, you mentioned control and manipulation. I want to talk a little bit about that and how that play, what role did that play in your life?
So, control for me was keeping my house in order. Being that helicopter mom over my children so that they wouldn't experience the things that I experienced as a child. And manipulation, when I realized if I'm doing something for someone and I have an intention of what they should be doing in return because I'm doing it, then that's manipulative behavior. It's not for the right reason. So, and we all do that. A lot of people do that.
I want to talk about that for a minute, because if we are doing things expecting something from others as a result of what we're doing, that is a form of manipulation. And it can, and also that has a lot to do with laying guilt and placing guilt to make people do what you want them to do. And I'm not saying that that was anything that you did, but oftentimes that is another form of manipulation. And it's also a form of bullying. And oftentimes, and I'm not saying that this is your case, but because we do address issues with parents and their children, I do want to just say to parents, if you are trying to lay a guilt trip on your children to get them to do what you want them to do, that is a form of bullying. And so think about it. It's a form of control as well. And so I know that you have overcome so much, and I applaud you for the things that you have overcome. And so as a mom, I do want to kind of talk about how you have, and I kind of asked the question, but can you give parents some tools on how they can adjust after you've adjusted, after you have come into your own and you recognize who you are and whose you are? Then how do you convey that to your children?
Well, and I have 4 children, and 3 of them are young adults, out of high school, and each one of them is so different, and each have their own strengths and weaknesses, and I really try to take the time to recognize what those are and be able to speak into them at their desired, level, to watch them flourish and grow, and, give them the opportunity, to make some of these mistakes and learn from these mistakes, and just trying to control everything. And I've seen it, being in the church and these homeschool kids, and, everybody wants to keep their kids in a bubble, and then they're going to have to go to work. They go to the real world one day, and they don't know how to adapt. They don't know how to adjust. They don't know how to communicate. And the reality of what goes on is very challenging for them, and can be very impactful in a negative way on their coping skills and their overall mental health and their self-esteem. So, and I think the biggest thing, I've been a small business owner, like I said, ministry. The best thing I can tell you is to lead by example, and I treat people as, I would like to be treated. And I always try to be encouraging and, corrective. And, if I'm sensitive to those yelling and shouts and aggressive or passive aggressive communication styles, I don't want to operate in those to my children.
Absolutely.
So, and it's, even for me, becoming a Christian and already being a parent, it was really challenging for me to, learn the word, live the word, and just teach the word to these children. And it was like I was trying to do 3 different roles all at the same time. And that's why I think I really enjoyed teaching Sunday school for so long, because it was such a basic level for me to get the word into me, and to be able to break it down in a simple way. And the simplicity of it is just, we complicate things so much, and I even just being able to be in tune with my emotions, and recognizing them. Before, you had asked me what was some other, techniques that I had used to overcome the trauma. And the biggest thing that I can tell you that had a major impact, and it might sound silly to people, but it was EMDR, trauma therapy. And, it's with this light, and it kind of, gets you to tap into your subconscious and to some of those events that, we have these negative emotional triggers to, and deactivate those negative emotions. Because so many times I realized that as 30 or 40 years old, I was emotionally reacting and responding to something that happened so long ago that I just never dealt with. And, it's so cool. They have these little hand vibrating things. And, as I'm in these places, because what I've learned is there's the part of our brain, the amygdala, it doesn't recognize the difference between a physical threat or just an emotional threat. Our brain isn't able to tell the difference. So we start reacting and responding in ways that seem odd. And so the education part of that, but those things in my hand, as I would, relive some of these very traumatic events, just kept me in the present, in the here and now. Like, I'm safe, I'm here, nothing's going to hurt me. We're going to tap into this. We're going to do what needs to be done, and we're going to take this and script it forward and use it for a greater good. So
that's beautiful. So for our audience who may not understand what EMDR is, you want to break it down. What does EMDR stand for?
I believe it's like electric magnetic radio therapy or something. There's this bar of light, and you follow it with your eyes. Well, the therapist is scripting you through these trauma events. And, there's not even a whole lot of talking that needs to take place. It's more inside your brain and just filing it and moving it. I mean, and, people of faith, we talk about, praying and God's going to heal us. And yes, he does. But I've had to take other steps and incorporate professionals. I can't just sit here in my house and think that I'm going to be better and I'm going to wake up and, I'm not going to have these triggers. And it was through those process. I had learned some techniques called heart math. And that's another. They have a great app for that, and it's a grounding technique to try to self-regulate yourself. It's taught to military, first responders, people that are in high, intense situations and need to make, a really quick decision. And being able to train that muscle part of me to self-regulate and not become reactionary and move into a fight or flight mode or a freeze mode, has really been impactful to me. And I'm so thankful that I've experienced these things and I've found these things to move past and talk about them without being angry, upset, bitter. That's the beauty.
Yeah. So let me ask you, what is the name of the app again?
Heart Math.
HEART?
Yeah, like your heart.
You're right. Okay.
Yep.
Heart. And then MAP, MAP?
MATH, Heart Math.
Oh, Heart Math. Okay. And it's an app?
Yep, there's an app. There's all kinds of things on YouTube that you can look into, some of these meditative things and how and why they work. And, there's like a little 3-minute self-regulatory breathing exercise. I know you're big into the breathing and
Yes.
just, for
Yes.
me, I mean, I love people and I deal with people, and I talked about the sensitivity that I carry to people. And sometimes in environments that are, where I'm overly stimulated, it's exhausting and I feel very drained afterwards. And these are things that have greatly benefited me in the past before experiencing life at the level I did. I would just burn myself out, run myself ragged. I did not make time for myself the way that I should have. And just, it was always about everybody else or another job or another thing I had to do. And these have become very important daily routines to make sure that I will be successful each day. And keep,
Awesome.
I just challenge myself to be a better version of myself than I was yesterday.
And that's so beautiful. And Ella Aragon, she says, Maria, you are such an inspiration.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for being here and listening and chiming in. Much appreciated. So one of the things that you talked about that you were lacking was self-care. And you recognize the importance of self-care and being able to pull back when you needed to pull back, relax when you needed to relax, and think about you for a change. Because you mentioned, always trying to please other people and trying to be all things to other people. And then you recognize that you needed to also do those things for yourself. So one of my questions is, what are some of your self-care methods that you're using to keep yourself balanced?
Well, we had talked about, the heart math. That's one of it. Just even the 3 minute a day, making sure I'm checking in with myself. I learning to listen to my body, to be still. I have always been a go, 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 and I don't listen to myself. And so I have, found myself in situations where I've been slowed down, and now I just slow myself down because I don't want to slow down if we don't slow down, he's going to slow us down one way or another.
Amen.
He's going to get attention. So
Amen.
I'm listening, I'm paying attention. And so, just take it. I journal a lot.
That's important.
How the book has started for me. I never sat down long enough to do that. And I realized that, I do have a gift of writing. And it's been so freeing for me, because as I'm writing it, I realize I still have the ability to move it and make good of it.
Yeah.
So
journaling, I'm sorry. Journaling can get what you're feeling inside out. And that allows you to heal by doing that. And so I'm glad you mentioned journaling. And you know what? I have a couple of commercials that I need to play. So let me do that right quick. Here's one.
Join us to kick off Black College Football Hall of Fame weekend with the Still Standing Dinner Theater, August 29th. Performed by Melba Moore, Still Standing is a musical story of resilience and talent. Elevate your support with heartfelt philanthropy, as all proceeds will benefit the Margaret Joan Gillespie Endowment Fund, who is dedicated to the Urban League and our community. Be part of this inspiring night dedicated to the empowerment of our community, all while supporting a worthy cause. For more information, visit starkurbanleague.org.
In a world where authenticity is the key, unlock your brand's potential with ADM's game-changing marketing solutions. We craft striking logos that embody your brand's spirit and build websites that captivate and convert. Our lead generation strategies are tailored to your needs, driving growth and boosting your bottom line. And our content, well, it's not just content. It's a narrative, a story that connects and resonates with your audience. But here at ADM, we're about more than just exceptional services. We're about authenticity, about staying true to who you are and what you stand for, because realness, that's what makes a brand unforgettable. So if you're ready to elevate your brand with authenticity and excellence, follow this page. Dive deeper into the world of divine marketing and become part of our community. Because at ADM, we're not just about making brands, we're about making brands matter.
ADM, divine marketing, authentic divine marketing. Ariel Chime. And just what her commercial says is what she does. She ensures that whatever marketing that you do is authentic to you. And she will work on it until it is exactly the way that you want it to be. And the other commercial that I did, I'm in Canton, Ohio, and I'm currently working with the Urban League. And Melba Moore is going to be here as a fundraiser for our endowment. And I'm excited because she's going to be on my show on the 27th. So check out what's going on here in Canton. If you're in this area, check out what's happening at the Urban League. We're really doing some awesome things. And I do have one more commercial that I want to play, and then we'll have the rest of the time just for us.
Hallelujah.
Hey there, Jason McNamara here, and I'm about to drop something truly game-changing your way. Are you tired of the same old 9-to-5 grind? Feeling stuck in obtaining the life you deserve and craving something more? Well, listen up, because I've got something you will not want to miss. Introducing the No More 9-to-5 Club Professional Membership, your ticket to freedom and success in the entrepreneurial world. With our professional membership, you'll get access to weekly coaching sessions, pre-recorded trainings, and a vibrant community of fellow game changers. You get access to technology that will allow you to automate passive income streams, as well as unlock all of our expert-led trainings in the back office so you know where to go for good advice when you need it. You will also use the club to build up a residual income stream with a 2-tier 33% affiliate commission unlocked at this level, allowing you to help people help themselves while generating a residual passive income stream for yourself. And here's the kicker. For a limited time, you can unlock all of this just for a $1.11 donation to our club foundation.
I like this one.
Your first month is on us. So what's holding you back? Click the link below, make your donation, and let's start building the life and business of your dreams together. Here at the No More 9-to-5 Club, we're all about turning dreams into reality and smashing through those glass ceilings.
That's what I'm talking about, Jake.
Whether you're a seasoned entrepreneur or just starting out, we've got the tools and support you need to thrive and evolve. And don't forget to sign up for our bootcamp training. It's the perfect way to kickstart your journey and unlock even more perks. So what are you waiting for? Join the No More 9-to-5 Club today, and let's make those dreams a reality. I can't wait to see you on the inside. You only get one now. Invest it in your better future. Let's make magic happen together.
No more 9-to-5. Let me tell you, this is a club that will uplift, encourage, motivate, inspire, and educate. It does all of those things. You have an opportunity to network with like-minded people. You have an opportunity to explore ways for residual income. You have an opportunity to join the masterminds that are a myriad of topics that are designed to help businesses, to help you professionally as well as personally. So you want to check out No More 9-to-5. I put the link in the comments, and you can join for $1.11 for the first month to get a feel for what it's like. It is amazing. So you want to check out No More 9-to-5. Even if you have a 9-to-5, you want to check out No More 9-to-5. We have another comment. Linda Bafa, she says, "Hi, Maria. Thank you for being here and listening." And Maria, I am going to give you the floor. What are some other things that you want to talk about?
I really just want to be able to encourage other people to be able to tap into some of the um, generational things that are passed down from, our forefathers. And, the scripture, I have it right here. Exodus 34:7 states that God will punish the children and their children's children for sins of their parents up to the third and fourth generation. And if the battles that we refuse to fight as adults and as parents, our children are going to have to. So, I would just encourage, and if you're young and you don't have children, I encourage you to. I mean, we can all recognize that there are things in our upbringing that were very, very positive and strong parts, and there are some areas of weakness that we all need to recognize what our strengths and weaknesses are, and strengthen those weaknesses, and heal and deal and find somebody safe to talk about some of these things with, because even just sharing it with one person can really impact and start the healing process.
Beautiful, beautiful. And please listen to what she's saying. When we keep things bottled up inside of us, it just causes more trauma, more drama, and more self abuse. So you want to be able to find someone that you can confide in, that you can talk to, that's going to listen. Because so often, all we need is someone to listen without judgment, without giving you advice. You just need someone to listen. And it may be professionally, it may be a counselor, it may be a coach, it may be a friend. Whatever. Don't keep things held inside. In addition, it will make you sick if you don't. What stays in, it can't help but fester and cause all kinds of dis-ease. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. And Maria, you're saying some things that are so powerful and so inspirational to other people. And being able to share and be vulnerable and transparent and share your story and things that have happened with you, and how how your experiences have impacted your children positively, as well as the things that you learned and you saw for yourself what you needed to do to make a change so that they could be the best versions of themselves. When you became the best version of yourself is when they became the same. And so I just think the work that you're doing is awesome. And Linda, she says, break free. Absolutely. Break free. And the only way that you can break free is by expressing, by seeking help, by praying, by seeking the word, because all the answers are in the word. And I know word is so powerful for you. So talk about that.
Well, and there's, as you talk about this, I feel like the biggest thing for me was to remain teachable and still remain teachable. I'm not where I need to be, but I'm not where I used to be. And, to have somebody that, maybe has a healthier perspective, or, a different understanding of the situation, because I needed to see things from different angles and from different perspectives, because some of us see things through our own trauma filter when they're not healed and they're not have been dealt with. So remaining teachable through this all, we don't have it all together, and just when we think they do, they change the rules. It changes again. So we have to evolve. That is, I think, I was just at a women's conference this past week, and I just love, as crazy as COVID was, and the disconnect that we had from people, the internet and the platform that it has provided has brought me some of the most powerful prayer warriors, pastors, and support. And they're, like you and I, you're in Ohio and I'm in Florida. One of my biggest mentors is in Georgia. And she was just here last week at a Women's Evolve conference. And, just continuing to strengthen and taking the ones behind us out and grabbing hold of the women and men that are, ahead of us. And it's just, this is what the human race should be doing. It's
Absolutely.
platforms that the internet has, created for positive things, like instead of misused for, sexual perversity and things of that nature. That is going on. So many times parents don't want your children to hear certain things, but they're going to see it. They're going to see it one way or another. And so I mean, the internet has been a really big tool to be able to connect with other people. Sometimes it's not the people that you would expect to be there for you or to help you through that God puts in your life. And we have to accept that, because we're not in control and we can't control other people. And sometimes they're not able to bring us to the level He's trying to take us to. So
beautifully said. Beautifully said. And when you think about the one thing that COVID did, it brought the world together through Zoom and meetings. So I know that you have people internationally that you are connected with, as do I. And it's just, if COVID had not happened, those connections may not have happened either. So even though it was not what we so desired, in a way, it was a blessing in disguise, because it allowed people to come together to connect with like-minded Christians, with like-minded people, with the understanding that love is the key. Love is the key. But first, but we got to love ourselves first. Scripture even says, love thy neighbor as thyself. So once we love ourselves, then we can love everybody, that's what we got to do. And as long as we are lights, we can overcome the darkness, which is what we've got to do right now. All right. I'm going to give you the last few words. Thank you for being on my show.
Oh, thank you for having me back. It's such an honor and a privilege, and I love the work that you do, with ministry, and how your passion has come from your own hurts as well. And that just excites me when we can we take those stones that were thrown at us and we just start using them as building blocks to move forward. And, and you talk about the international ministry. I mean, the followers that I have from other countries, and the prayers that I receive from Pakistan and, Middle Eastern countries that are supposed to be highly Muslim, or even just being able to communicate and pray with other Muslims in the name of Jesus, I'm not turned off by what anybody believes. I think I had shared with you when we were in our last conference together. My mom is a practicing psychic. So in some areas of the church, that is very frowned upon. And, I just want to love people where they're at. And, the word tells us to be in the world and not of the world. It's just, it's a privilege to have this, enlightenment of who He is, and that spirit. If He's for us, who could be against us? And he's got us. If He's got us through all that stuff, He's got us. He's got us.
And that is a good note to leave on. God's got you. Now, I want to respond to those that are in the chat. Linda says Maria has been through it and she has come through it. Love is the answer. And then Ella says, love you, Maria. And I say, love you too. And I thank you.
I love you, Vera.
And I thank you so much for being on my show. And I'm so glad this is redemption because when you were on before, I couldn't hear you and it was a mess. And I know people were saying, you keep interrupting her. And I wasn't trying to do it, but I couldn't hear you, so I didn't know.
We
But
did
anyway,
it though. We might have been doing it with a limp that day, but we got it done.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm so thankful and I'm, excited to see where the Lord's going to be taking you. I mean, you really come up beneath, us and just keep lifting up, to do his work. And there should be more women like you in the world. You are very special and near and dear to my heart and always in my prayers. So,
well, thank you.
Hopefully all you guys that are out there, you will continue to support Miss Vera in her shows and her guest as well, because she's doing amazing work through Fathers Ministry, to help them to raise up to be godly men in the community and in their own homes. So I'm really moved by the ministry you do serve in, and hopefully if anybody's looking for that, you will they will reach out to you.
Yes, well, thank you. And Linda, she says much better. She was on the last one and it was a mess. So thank you, Linda. I'm glad you approve. Thank you. Well, listen, God bless. We will see you all next Tuesday. So have a wonderful weekend. And Maria,
God bless
if you would hold on a minute as I close out. So God bless you all. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
The Vera